How can I get past my fear of crashing and develop trust in the tyres? This is a question I've received more than any other over the decade I've now been doing this. And the question comes in many forms. How can I lean the bike more? How much lean angle can I use? How can I trail the brake without crashing? How much throttle can I use? The list goes on. All of these questions are based on the same problem, however. The rider isn't sure where the limit is or how to know when they're getting close to it. It's one of the most difficult barriers to overcome because the penalty for stepping over the limit is one that no rider wants to pay. In this video, we're going to talk about why you can't break the fear, why you're probably better equipped to do it than you might think, and the 3 steps you can take to gain more confidence in tyre traction, and ultimately how effectively you're able to use the motorcycle. And while this is a track-focused channel, these are going to be things that road riders will massively benefit from too, because the more confidence you have in what's underneath you, the safer rider you're going to become. So, kicking this off, let's jump into why you're likely struggling to break your fear of traction limits. A lot of riders think that the problem is that they don't have a feel for grip, but that's not strictly true, as you'll discover in a minute. It's not that they're incapable of feeling grip, it's that their reference of grip is far too narrow. Let me explain. Grip is obviously very important to performance and safety. So knowing this, what do most riders do? They only put themselves in situations where they have lots of it. On track, this means using sticky, pre-warmed tyres on a dry day. On the road, most recreational riders will also opt for sporty tyres and will only head out when the sun is shining. This is great because it means you have bundles of grip to enjoy your machine while keeping you safe. But when you're only riding around with tons of grip and massive headroom to the limits of that grip, how effectively do you think you can understand what it feels like, or more importantly, what a lack of it feels like? To better understand traction, you need to develop a better perspective on it so that you can more confidently judge what you're feeling, which will directly translate into more confidence to use more of the grip that you have. We'll talk more about how to get perspective a bit later, but first I want to demonstrate how I know you already have the skills needed to develop confidence in grip. To do that, let's remove the motorcycle component altogether and talk about your feet on the ground. Have you ever knowingly tried to walk on a slippery surface? A patch of ice, an oil spill, or maybe a steep hill with loose dirt? As soon as you place your foot on the ground and try to push off it, you immediately feel like the surface isn't offering you the grip and stability you want. That's because as soon as you weighted the foot enough to test the grip, you receive the feedback through the foot that it's not properly planted, and you adjust how you move across it because of that. To bring a machine back into the mix, you've likely experienced this in a car too if you drive. On a wet or icy road, when the grip level drops, you experience a vagueness from the steering wheel, for instance. In your hands and through the seat, you can feel that the car isn't behaving as it should. The steering wheel doesn't feel as if it's connected to the road as much, and the car itself doesn't track the line you want it to travel on as well as it should. On a motorcycle, it's no different. In poor conditions, you also experience this same vagueness. The vagueness you feel through the bars is the absence of the strong feedback you get from grippy tyres on a dry, abrasive road. And like the car, you can also sense when the bike isn't quite holding the line you want it to. And at the other end of the bike, when you get back to the throttle, you may feel that the rear end is a little more squirrely than normal. That's a technical term. Or that the bike isn't driving forward as eagerly as you expect. These are all things that every rider can feel when they have their attention on it. Key point there that we'll touch on later. And when the feedback level drops, you interpret it to mean that you shouldn't ride to your normal standard. Okay, so we know why riders don't think they have a good feel for grip, and that you do in fact have the inbuilt skills to sense what a lack of grip feels like. Now let's talk about the 3 steps that you can take to improve your confidence in grip so that you can begin to use more of what's available to you. And stick around because number 3 is easily the most important. The first is something we hinted at earlier, getting perspective on more of the grip spectrum. There are 2 instances in my motorcycle life that massively opened my eyes to what good traction feels like, giving me huge confidence as a result. The first was a track day at a wet and cold Brands Hatch. But I wasn't too concerned given that my Pirelli Rosso Corsa 2 tyres could handle a little water for me to get out and have a little fun. As the day went on, the rain stopped and the sun came out, and as the track began to dry and warm up, I could feel the grip coming to me with each passing session. By the end of the day, the bike stopped like a dream, cornered on rails and drove hard off the turns, and I could feel the tyres digging into the track surface, giving me the grip I wanted. There was a gradual transition through the spectrum of grip from not very much to as much as I could possibly need for the bike that I was riding. A more direct back-to-back grip comparison came early in my track life. Having spent 14 track days on the same endurance compound tyres, I switched to some fresh Pirelli Super Corsa race tyres. I was actually staggered at how different the bike felt and how much grip I could sense through every section of the lap, even at my relative inexperienced level of the time. So what's the lesson here? Without ever experiencing what a lack of grip feels like, you're probably going to struggle to realize just how much grip you do have when tires and conditions are good. There's a reason the very best riders in the world do a lot of training on loose surfaces. It gives them a way to practice their feel for grip and testing the limits of traction, while at the same time getting comfortable with feeling a bike moving around underneath them. While completely different disciplines, this development of their feel is going to translate directly into their road racing. Now, that's not to say that you can never progress as a rider unless you ride in less grippy situations, but getting that perspective can give you instant confidence in what good grip feels like. So if you want to, consider how you can safely put yourself in that position to experience it for yourself, because it can do wonders. Okay, moving on to step 2, developing confidence in the tyres and what your equipment can do. It might sound like we've just covered this, but this is not so much about feeling something for yourself, but rather understanding what your bike and tyres are capable of, and on top of that, ensuring you're riding on tyres that are fit for purpose. When it comes to understanding capability, one of my favoured methods is to simply get your perspective from other people. Most popular tyres will have been reviewed by one of a number of experts somewhere on the internet, and most sporty tyres will have been tested on the track or on sporty road rides. Go and read or watch what these riders are saying about these tyres, or even better, what they're able to demonstrate on them. If it's a reputable source, they'll have experience of a wide variety of tyres and will do a good job of communicating what a particular tyre can do. Or in the real world, watch people ride if you can. In my early track life, I took great confidence from seeing people in higher groups riding at much higher speeds on similar machinery and tyres to mine, to the point where the very next day I saw a significant improvement in my own speed simply because I had greater perspective from those other riders. Then secondary to that is making sure you have tyres that are fit for purpose. If you're riding around on old, cheap or unsuitable tyres, it's no surprise that they're not inspiring confidence. Instead, opt for sport touring tyres at a minimum if the goal is sporty riding. Or if track days are in the frame, going for a road biased track tyre will do just fine. And remember, this is a fantastic opportunity to experience moving from poor grip to amazing grip. When you know you have tyres that are fit for purpose and can categorically see how they're able to be used, it can unlock something in yourself as a rider. And this moves us on to the third and most important step in all of this, developing confidence in yourself. Contrary to the many angry comments I see on social media from riders who feel that learning is a waste of time and that you just need to get out and ride, I'm looking at you, Jigsaw Boy for Life 69. Gaining an understanding of what the bike wants from you as a rider, along with practice to implement it, is the single greatest step you can take to develop confidence in what's under you. When you know exactly how to apply the fundamentals of riding and you're able to display those to a reasonable degree, you massively reduce the risks of bad things happening while developing huge confidence that you're giving the bike what it needs for you to ride at those higher levels. When you can do this, it stops becoming about having blind faith in the tyres and instead turns into faith in yourself and your technique, and that you know what to do and what not to do to ride fast and safe. And on top of this, and something I hinted at earlier, is that it's about having enough attention on what you're feeling through the bike that will help you better interpret what you're feeling, which is a natural result of developing your fundamental skills to the point where they require far less conscious thought. And while we're on the subject of the importance of the fundamentals of riding, this is the perfect opportunity to quickly tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is me. Helping riders all over the world understand and apply the fundamentals of riding is something that we've been doing for well over a decade. If you're someone that wants to take the time to work on the most important component of riding, that's the squidgy mass on top of the bike, we'd love to help. We're currently running a free online training workshop where you'll learn the key steps to busting your riding barriers and how to go from complete track riding beginner to calm, comfortable and confident high-level rider. Click the link down in the description to sign up for the workshop now. Okay, let's get back to the video. So to sum up, there are 3 steps to developing your confidence in traction limits so you can begin to more effectively use the bike underneath you. First is to improve your perception of grip by giving yourself the opportunity to understand what less grip feels like. How you choose to do that is up to you, but something like jumping into a dirt riding school or even just going out for a ride in the rain can do wonders. Next is to develop confidence in the tyres you have by improving your perspective on what they can actually do. When you know and can see the performance ceiling demonstrated by someone else, it can help you see that you're comfortably within their limits. That being said, to stay far more safe and ensure you're pushing your limits in the best way possible, you must take the final step of spending time to develop your understanding of what good fundamental technique looks like. And together with consistent and conscious practice, you will unquestionably improve how you feel on the bike and what you're able to do on it. Want to learn 5 things that you can do right away to unlock easy speed without pushing any closer to the limits of grip than you already are? Then you definitely want to check out this video here. But outside of that, thank you so much for watching this one, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.